Welcome back. You are
Welcome back
listening
to
to the show on Salam Media. It is time for our next interview, and joining me on the line is Dr. Robin Johnson, who is a representative of the Black Duke movement. You might have seen the Black Duke movement making its rounds on social media as well as on the news, and we're going to find out more about this movement and what it stands for and what do they hope to achieve. Dr. Robin, good day. Well, I was almost going to say good morning, but good day, and thank you for joining me.
Good day. Thank you for having me.
It is a pleasure. All right, so the Black Duke movement that you're part
Right.
of, what was the inspiration behind it?
All right. So basically, I'm speaking on behalf of the founder, Kelly James, and as well as Dereleen James, who could not actually be here. But basically, the Black Duke Movement SA was birthed in response to the scourge of gender based violence that we actually witnessed during the COVID-19 lockdown. The Black Duke Movement then serves to just represent and advocate for the rights of women and the killing of women to say, stop. We really want to see an end to this. As we've seen during the COVID-19 pandemic, and during times of crisis, the rates of gender-based violence, especially in marginalized communities, increase. And we've seen this actually during the lockdown period. And these then basically highlighted the increase of women-based killings that we've actually seen in our media, and these were actually highlighted and emphasized. And this then kind of developed a cry in women who've been affected from the communities. And this basically sparked the whole movement.
All right. So, what makes it different from other organizations? Because I mean, there are lots of organizations coming out saying that they stand for and they support gender-based violence.
Right. So basically, why Black Duck? And I think what we should do is just, start there. And
Mm-hmm.
what the Duk symbolizes for us as women, especially in Africa, it's the South African word for headscarf. And it's a cloth basically traditionally worn by African women to cover their heads. But, traditionally and as per the African culture, wearing the Duk symbolizes respect. And around the world, this cultural symbol really just embraced a fashion statement that we've seen. But to the Black Duk movement and team, it means a lot more than that. Basically, a duk is a sign of peace, love, and inclusivity, prayer, mourning, and heartbreak. A duk carries many more emotions and many more meanings to the lost lives and even the voices that we actually hope to say, no more, and that is our voice. And what we aim to do differently is basically just a community-based approach. And as we said, our target market are these women in these communities. And also, from the pilot project that we actually hope to initiate in El Dorado Park, which is where we're kind of currently based, our community approach basically includes a more collaborative approach or stance that we're taking, where Black Duck Movement actually sits at the core. And what we basically hope to ensure is that from the beginning to the end, women are actually cared for in terms of health services, social services, the legal services, and then the ongoing women empowerment. And that is how we aim to actually make a difference.
Mm-hmm. All right. So I know there are organizations who speak about assisting women and doing things for women. They'll have campaigns, they'll run campaigns, have proceeds, but do
Right.
the proceeds really go towards helping the woman? Do they really empower the woman? Is there any change in these women's lives whom they claim to be fighting for? So there are some notable ambassadors for the Black Duke movement. Please tell us
Correct.
more about and why were these specific people chosen as ambassadors?
All right, so we do have a few ambassadors. If I basically start off with Leanne Kiston Dlamini, we've known her, we've watched her on TV and growing up. But basically, she's also founded End Girl Hate Campaign. I'm not sure if you're aware. But also, from the advocating stance of just, as the message out there to girls and women, how do we collaborate? how do we then, just stand together as women? And from that strategic stance, that was her involvement in this whole thing. Then we move on to Shante Yankis, who's very prominent, has a very prominent voice on news media. And it was just very, very welcoming and also, inspirational how she wants to also advocate for women and the safety of women and children, specifically in South Africa. And from that point of view, she then also joined the movement. And then we look to the male figures, so your Stanton Fredericks, as well as your TJ Masilela. TJ Masilela has been a very vocal voice within South Africa. And he was just very, welcoming on board. And basically, when we said, would you like to be on board with the team? Our journey, we need your voice to advocate for more, encouraging more men and young boys to be involved in looking after their sisters, being their sister's keeper. And as well as Stanton Fredericks being a role model to young boys and young men in our society. We've seen him grow up and be an advocate, for actually in the soccer fields, firstly, but then moving on to the next phase of his life, where now into, speaking and just being a prominent male figure. How do we then use that voice to actually speak to our young men and boys, saying, how do we engage them now in this conversation in ending gender-based violence? And that was basically the thinking behind our ambassadors and electing them.
Mm-hmm. Definitely, and I think it's also very important to have a male voice and
Right.
prominent males to stand up and say that we are against gender-based violence, because it's pointless to have a group of women marching and protesting and saying we are against gender-based violence and end gender-based violence and stop killing us. But where are the men? Because we need the support of men to stand up for us, to teach our fellow males to say that we are against gender-based violence as men, and also we are against our male friends, our male family members who support gender-based violence. We are against them as well, because I mean, what's the point of having such if the men are not going to come forward? And now there is a march taking place at the Union buildings. Please tell us more about it.
Well, we've actually basically moved away from the march. It's actually a different kind of march during this time, and as we have to respect the COVID-19 pandemic, as well as adhering to your social distancing regulations. And as part of that, our march, you could call it, is now the form of a convoy, where we will definitely be convoying. Right now, the plan is towards actually the Constitutional Court, just to make it more accessible to the masses. We will be basically, the convoy will leave from Nasrec en route to the Constitutional Court. That would be the designated turnaround point at this point in time. And then there we will meet with the relevant media bodies, do interviews, just explain our role as how we are now going to fight towards ending gender-based violence in our communities, ensuring that our communities are safer. And basically just the stance to say, South Africa, rise. We need to fight, but we need your collaboration. We need people to help us in our fight and in our plight against, ensuring that our communities are safe again for young girls, women, men, and boys.
Definitely. And what can people do to get involved in the Black Duck movement?
Right, so we have a few social media platforms. So we have our Facebook, our Twitter handles, as well as our Instagram handle. All of those are out there. They've been gaining a lot of traction. So we really appreciate all of our fans and supporters who have been, just helping us just get our message out there. So a big thank you to them. Also, we will upload a link for the convoy and for our march per se, and that will go up on our Facebook really soon. What people can do is you can register online, and also there's a lot of information on there, how to adhere to COVID-19 restrictions, etc. There you can register, you will then get a confirmation, you'll get information regarding the route to and fro. And we can, you'll basically be able to get more information. All of it is on our website. So Facebook is the best platform right now. It's how we communicate daily. And then, just to keep the conversations going, Twitter and Instagram. Also, if anyone would like to email us, our email is blackduckmovement@yrf.co.za. People can communicate with us on that platform as well.
All right, and most importantly, they must not forget to wear their black dukes.
Correct. Wear their black dukes and come with their masks, and just support us. For the men, any head accessory that is black, we welcome that too. Take your pictures, post us, tag us, please, and let us just get our message out there. We really hope to see gender-based violence end in South Africa. It's a real concern, a real problem, and we need to do something about it. The time is now.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, no, definitely we need to do something about it, and we need to start now. There's no turning back. We are at the point where we cannot turn back. We cannot give up. I mean, babies are being killed, toddlers are being killed, our brothers and sisters are being killed. We are afraid to take a walk just to the corner store and buy something for fear of being kidnapped and killed or whatever else. So the time is now. Let us stand together to end gender-based violence. Thank you so much for your time, Robin.
Thank you for having me.
That convoy.
Sure. Thank you very much for having me, Mariam. Thank you.
Bye-bye. All right, so Dr. Robin Johnson, representative of the Black Duck Movement, South Africa, representing Dereleen James, who could not join me due to some unforeseen circumstances. They are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for Black Duck Movement. That's DOEK, Duck. This thing that I'm wearing is a duck. Just because it's not wrapped up in a headdo does not mean that it's not a duck. And by the way, if you need underscarves, we got you sorted. All right, so you can get some more information from their social pages, Black Duck Movement SA. And if you would like to be part of that convoy, which will be taking place, make sure that you are on their social media so that when the link does pop up, you will know exactly when it will be taking place, the routes to follow, etc. You are listening to the Mariam Konda Show on Salam Media. To stay with us, we'll be right back.